Hello, everyone. As you probably know, the Bible in Exodus 12 or 21:12 tells us to honor your father and your mother. So you may be wondering, well, if you talk about your past, if you talk about what happened in your childhood and probably what your mother, what your father did not do, is that dishonoring them? Let me know what you think about that in the comments below. Today, we want to look at why it is, first of all, that you would even look at your past. Is it just a way to get back at your parents? Well, I hope not. But we also want to look at then, well, how would you do this? How can you look at your past without doing it in a way that is dishonoring to your parents? And then we'll end by looking at what is going on within you that is creating resistance to this, and how might God want to use that? Well, if you don't know who I am, let me introduce myself. My name is Tanya Kortenbrock. I'm a licensed professional clinical counselor, and I am the person behind arenewedlife.com/blog. That is a place where I help you to move past your past, to learn how to love yourself, and to be able to walk in the good that God has called you to. I also have a private online community that you are welcome to join. And this is where we are actually working on some of the issues that are connected to our past and learning how to manage emotions so that we can have more fulfilling relationships and feel better about ourselves. So let's start with why look at your past. Well, your past, your childhood in particular, actually help to form how you view yourself, how you view others, and even how you view God, and how you relate in relationships. So your relationship with your mother and your father in particular taught you some things about yourself, whether you are if you are worthy of love, if your emotions are important, and if they should be valued, therefore, and paid attention to. Those relationships also taught you whether other people can be available for you and if they can be trusted. And all of this comes together to also influence our view of God and whether he is far off or whether he is close, whether he is judgmental toward us, whether he's looking down at us like we are stupid or just unable to be of any good to him. So all of this is very important. And it shapes how you will handle your emotions and how you will interact within relationships. And that is definitely something that God wants to change for us as we mature in our faith. So how do you do this? How do you look at your past while still honoring your parents? Well, first of all, it doesn't mean not looking at your past. It doesn't mean not talking about it, because God himself in the Bible allows those authors to talk about extensively the mistakes and the sins of people from the past. And if you don't believe me, just read the book of Genesis. Oh my goodness, talk about dysfunctional families. You will be astounded at what you find there if you haven't read it, or if you haven't read it in a while. And then take a look at also King David. And there are several books that tell his story, but he, oh man, he was called a man after God's own heart. And so he had some good. in him, very much like our own parents. They had some good, and because you can tell that, some of the good that you have in your own life actually has come from what your parents have instilled in you. So there's some good there. And King David had some really good stuff going on for him and his love for God. But he also had some serious dysfunction that he was still working on in his life, and brought so much destruction to his children. And, for instance, one of his sons raped his sister, one of David's daughters. And David didn't even do anything about it. So there's some definite dysfunction there. And then David had some sexual sin of his own. Maybe that's why he didn't do anything about his son's sexual sins. But, this is the most familiar that people have about David, is he had an affair with another man's wife, and she became pregnant, and to cover that up, he had her husband killed. And remember, this is a man that God loved very much, and who loved God very much, yet he still had sin in his life. And there's just so much more that I could tell you, but you can read about that yourself. So honoring your parents does not mean that you don't think about and you don't talk about the past and what happened. But what you want to do as you're thinking about the past and talking about it is to do this in a way that is for the purpose of gaining understanding of how it has shaped you, how it has influenced how you view yourself, how you view others, and how you view God. Because this framework of your view of relationships is at the core of what God wants to change within you. And if you don't look at it, then you're not going to be able to promote that change. You're not going to be able to mature and become more Christ-like in those areas. But as you approach this, you want to do it with caution. Because, first of all, your memories may not be totally accurate. And even if you can remember some bad events, some painful events, they may be skewed because you were a child and you attached your own interpretation to what was going on. For instance, you may feel like your mother or your father rejected you. But in reality, they probably were just they probably loved you very much, but were dealing with their own health issues or their own addictions or their own just emotional struggles, and did not have the energy or the character to be able to attend to you like you needed. And so as a child, that came across, as would be expected, came across as rejection. And so that has shaped you, right? In how you view yourself and how you view others, and possibly how you view God. So you want to approach it with some caution, because you may not be totally accurate. But then also, as you think about these things, it may cause some anger within you. And so what you don't want to do is to rush out and attack your parents. Why did you do this? And this is what it did to me, and all of that. Okay, there may be a time when you want to approach your parents if they're still available to you. But when you are raging inside, that is not the time to do it. Absolutely, because all that is going to do is cause more problems in the relationship, and that is not the goal. That definitely is not honoring your parents. So you want to be able to get to the place where you can see them as, in their entirety, where you can be looking at the situation in truth, that you're shining the light of God on it and looking at the truth of what happened, but you are also seeing, not only their shortcomings, but also the good in them, and that you're coming to a place where you can forgive them and that you can understand their weaknesses, and that you can have some level of acceptance. Not that it was okay, but that you are forgiving them. That's what I mean by acceptance. Okay, so you want to look at the past so that you can get healing in your own life. You can understand it and be able to move on from there. And then you want to do it with caution, and you want to do it for the purpose of your own healing. And then as you, even just knowing these things and approaching it in this way, you still may find that you have some resistance on the inside, that something within you is screaming, no, 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 don't go here, don't talk about this. And so let's spend a moment now and look at what that could be. So first of all, if there is dysfunction going on in your family, dysfunction is continued within a family by silence and not really looking at where the problem is. And so there could have been a spoken rule within your family of, what happens in our family stays in the family. We're a private family. We don't talk about these things. Okay, so those are rules that are actually in dysfunctional families. Just so you know that. And that might be something that you want to challenge. Do you want to live by that rule? But there also could have been an unspoken code of silence that you just kind of picked up on, that you didn't ever see anyone ever talking about what was really going on in the family. But instead you looked at certain, like one of the children was the problem in the family, when actually it was mom's problems or dad's problems that was causing all the chaos. Then also, you may feel like you need to defend your parents, and you find yourself saying, well, they tried the best they could. They did the best they could. And, that may be true. It really may be. And, most parents are doing the best that they can. They do love their children the best that they can, and they are attending to their children with the skills that they themselves have. But they still can have some shortcomings. But you, for yourself, need to look at what is going on inside of you that you so strongly need to defend them. And usually what this is because when all of this hurt or chaos was going on as a child, you had to learn how to cope with it in some way. And so because children think their parents are perfect, that they can't blame the parents. Because if you blame your parents, then that puts you in a place of isolation, and where are you going to go? You can't go anywhere as a child. You are stuck there with your parents and the power that they have. So what you tend to do then is you excuse the behavior of your parents, and instead, as a child, you take that meaning in on yourself. That, well, my parents are doing the best that they can, and so the problem really is me. I am too needy, or I'm just bad, or some other negative view of yourself, that you take that on as truth about yourself. And so giving up on that feeling that you need to defend your parents can kind of mean that you feel like you are losing your place with your parents, that you will be too separated from them, and that is your way of maintaining that closeness with them by excusing their behaviors and putting the blame on yourself. And then also, that means that you're going to have to look at, well, why are you blaming yourself, and the impact that has had on your life. And that could be pretty severe sometimes, that negative view that you have of yourself. Okay, so I hope that was understandable for you. Give me a like or a thumbs up, or and just let me know, or leave some comments, some questions if you have those. I would be glad to answer them. And today I do have a gift for you, and that is a free PDF called 4 Steps to Emotional Healing. I would be glad to give that to you, and I'll leave a link. Click on that link and give me your email, and I'll send it to you. Hope you have a great day. Bye.